We have a breaking update from the Nashville story. Of course, this morning we learned Steven Crowder has published the Nashville Trans Manifesto. Police have not confirmed this is the manifesto, but it does align with what we know. The latest news, and I want to stress this, I don't know if we know the exact source of this, but I do believe that it is likely to be the actual manifesto based on police descriptions, but this may change. So be careful, everybody, take it with a grain of salt. But Facebook has censored the manifesto post, saying, your post may go against our community standards on violence and incitement. Your post looks similar to content that we've removed for going against our community standards. You can delete it now to avoid potential account restrictions. At the same time, we're learning that Google is doing their classic, looks like the story is changing kind of thing. So if you search Google for this, it doesn't give you the latest breaking news. It says, there's too much going on. And this is a tactic Google seems to use when there's major breaking news from, I would say, trustworthy news sources. We have several NewsGuard certified sources. You know, I love using NewsGuard, who are reporting this is the manifesto. Now, the police, again, are refusing to confirm this. They're saying, I don't know what you're talking about, and they're backing away from it. But that's no excuse for Google obfuscating this information. But I want to talk to you a little bit outside of this breaking news, just very quickly, about anti-white propaganda and what we've been seeing for some time now, which is a core component of this manifesto, because I also saw this video from Jason Miller. I don't know exactly when this video is from. I think it's from actually quite some time ago, but I want to play this for you so you can get an understanding of some of the very serious problems we're facing as this country that, if are ignored by our law enforcement and by honest media assessment, it's only going to breed more hatred. Let me stress, the left in this country and the establishment have fomented racial hatred for a long time. Now, they'll claim the right are racists, and they do this by inverting what racist means. They say things like you can't be racist towards white people, which is insane. Then you need a new word to describe people who hate each other based on race or who think certain races are better than others. That's what they're doing. They're trying to make it so that there is no word to describe hating someone based on race. I want to play for you this clip. You can hear it for yourself.
This together now. And so we've got to stand up to the federal government. We've got to stand up to bullies. We've got to stand up to an administration which is too male, too pale, and too stale.
And they all scream and cheer for it. This is a rally in New York.
Too male, too pale, and too stale.
They start
too
chanting.
male, too pale, and too stale. And we will not go away silently. We will not be silent in the face of this oppression.
I'd like you to understand something. For the longest time, there were people who aligned themselves with the American left who now find themselves not so. The issue is actually relatively simple. I mean, obviously, people say the left has gone crazy, but let me break it down for you. When you have people on the left and they all generally agree that establishment forces and racism are bad, then they're unified. But eventually something interesting happens. When I say something like, I don't like the fact that these institutions uphold race-based policies or whatever, they agree with me. Why? Not because of the principle of what Martin Luther King Jr. said, but because dismantling that system would give them that power. I'll give you a simple explanation. One I've told many times. During Occupy Wall Street, I was told by some of the organizers that they want to flip the pyramid over. Now, to the untrained, to your default liberal, it sounds like what they're saying is at the top of the pyramid are the fat cats and the 1%, and we want to put the working class above. That is not what they are saying. If you have a pyramid stack of bricks and you flip it over, what happens? It crumbles into a pile similarly shaped to that pyramid, but some people previously from the bottom are now on top, and there is still a top. Get it? And I asked them this. I was like, you're not saying that you want to create an inverted pyramid with all the workers on the top. You're saying the pyramid would flip, crumble into a pile of bricks with you on top. And they said, yes, that's literally what we're saying. You just didn't ask. I knew one guy, a very prominent liberal activist, And I said, how could you be against free speech? And he laughed and said, you're too stupid to realize what we were advocating for. When you and I stood together and said, we must stop censorship, what I, literally me, Tim Pool, was saying was, let people speak freely. And what the leftist was saying was, stop them pushing down on us. You see, the difference is when they get power, they will use it in exactly the same way. When you see a video like this, too male, too pale, and too stale, their problem is not establishment or conservative politics. Their expressed chant is that it's white people who are in power. Okay. When I complain about the establishment, I don't care about the race. Kamala Harris is awful. It could be Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. They're all bad. Barack Obama killed kids. George W. Bush killed kids too, probably more. But see, when they say, you're right, George W. Bush is bad, let's work together to get rid of him. And then we say, okay, we're going to vote him out. Their motivation is racist and yours is not, but they're not going to tell you that. But now they're starting to. Now that they've gained some political prominence, they are coming out and chanting explicitly, it's about being white and being a man. And we say, whoa, that's not the issue. Doesn't matter what your race is. Are you good or are you bad? Are you a good person or a bad person? Uh-oh. You see? These people wanted the power, the same power. They want to wield the one ring in much the same way the corrupt establishment wields it. They won't tell you that their real issue is the race of the people wielding the ring. They'll tell you, oh, it's the abuse of the power. Take a look at this on Google. You can Google search too male, too pale, and too stale, and it's all over the place. In fact, National Institute of Health actually just uses that in the name of a publication about a qualitative exploration of sexual and race-based bias. Wow. And then here's my favorite. When you actually search anti-white propaganda, considering what we're learning now from this manifesto, what do you get? White supremacist propaganda, Here's one that is victimhood and moral panic over anti-white propaganda. It is all basically on Google on the front page challenging the idea that there is an attack on the idea of white people, of being white. This has been going on for some time, and I think it's racist and it's dangerous. And I'll tell you why. Look, I don't know what the actual argument is for the woke left because they seem to be extremely racist. If they want to come out and make this argument that we're gonna have a future of diversity. What does diversity look like? Black Panther. When Black Panther came out, the movie, and the cast was 95% black, they called that diversity. They said, no, that's the same thing, just with more black people. I actually would say this. You know, I don't like diversity, equity, inclusion because it's a proper noun. It's a cult terminology. But in the sense of actual diversity, let me tell you what it is. Diversity of thought. Now, the reason why that people would often say, you know, you want some African Americans, some actual African immigrants, you want some Haitians. These are all people of darker skin, but they're not all African Americans. They're all black, but they're from different areas. Why? Different perspectives, different worldviews, and a decentralized thought process can actually be robust, help solve problems better. The example I love to give is that in the United States, we couldn't build buildings above like 8 stories because the heat buildup got too intense. So we invented air conditioning. Amazing, right? Freon and all that jazz. Yet in Africa, they built villages where the structures were funneling heat and keeping them cool. And see, that is diversity. If we actually had someone from that region come here, they'd be like, you know, you realize back home what we would do is you build it like this. It pulls cold air in from underground. And as the hot air rises, it pulls the cold air up. You don't actually need to build electric air conditioning. It's fascinating, right? Instead, what we get today is pure racism. These are people who hate white people, and they are using our goodwill and hope for diversity, real diversity, not cult diversity. They're using against us to enact their racist, supremacist policies. And what happens? Young people become violent and they become indoctrinated. So let me tell you. White supremacist ideology is horrifying, it's stupid, and it's dangerous. But guess what? What we're seeing now is the pendulum swinging in the same direction. A racist, violent extremist killed children at a school. This is why we don't like racism. So when they lie and they say it's not really racist, you can't be racist towards white people, you can say A deranged, psychotic individual murdered people, and this anti-white ideology was a component of their motivation. We don't want any of it. We want everyone holding hands under the rainbow, the sun shining. But you see, the problem is the same hatred and racist animosity of the Klan and the other extremists who attacked black people in the past and defended slavery. It's the same core ideology of race-based hatred the left harbors now. And I think it needs to be talked about more. But I'll leave it there. Next segment is coming up at 6 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.